morning. It is 10:18 a.m. on Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just slept in. This is 5 more minutes. I actually slept in long enough that my need for caffeine is kicked in a little bit, and working on that. But feeling pretty good. Obviously, I have today off, or I guess it's it's not necessarily obvious because it's not a given that I would have today off, but I do, and that is why I slept in. I finished the audiobook yesterday of Stephen King's Firestarter. I've been talking recently about kind of revisiting some of Stephen King's older stuff because of the podcast Just King Things, which I'm really enjoying. And Firestarter is one of his that I had never either read the book or seen the movie of, and really knew very little about other than it's the one where the movie has little Drew Barrymore in it and she starts fires with her brain, I guess. But I'm thinking, so is it like Carrie at all or what? And then in the last episode of the podcast that I listened to, which was for the Dead Zone, they talked about their preview of Firestarter suggested that they expected it to be a little rough, in particular because we are now heading right into the height of Stephen King's cocaine years. And so I was not sure what to expect before listening to it. And the result is I really liked it. I think from a plot perspective, it is actually a book that not a ton happens in, partly because, I think that's maybe overstating it. It's more that the plot in the present could theoretically, you could argue that it's overwritten a little bit, maybe, but part of that's just because rather than telling everything in chronological order, it does a lot of starting with this man and his young daughter. Oh, sorry, something in my eye. On the run. Andy McGee and his daughter Charlie. And it becomes obvious pretty soon, even very early, that he has some kind of a psychic power where he can kind of, he can force people to do things. It's like the Jedi mind trick a little bit, but it hurts him when he does. He gets headaches after. But he's on the run with his daughter, and it eventually becomes clear that his daughter is much more powerful than him, but with the ability to start fires. But the love between this father and daughter, the daughter's situation where she's very powerful, but that makes her a target for some scary people. And on top of that, it's a little bit like, having a 7-year-old girl with a bazooka in her hands that she can't put down. It's always there, and her parents tried to make her scared of it because what else are you going to do when you have the impulse control of a child with something that could easily kill people? And but her being a good kid who doesn't want to kill people, doesn't want to hurt people, but it's always there. And the two of them being on the run, and then later them captured, and then it kind of keeps flashing back to, the history of, how her parents met, doing this, study that's very much patterned on the studies that the military did, where it gave people LSD, and studies where they were studying to see if psychic powers could be a real thing. And in this book. They turns out they are. But I really liked it. I think it is, kind of like some of his books can tend to be. There's occasionally moments where we're spending a fair amount of time on something that seems like, I don't know, is this really important? Like, uh, we have to have a whole chapter worth of the agents getting ready to make the plan to take down and capture Andy and Charlie, and then they do. Whereas we could have had just the scene from Andy and Charlie's perspective where that just happens. Now, like, I think that there's something to be said for giving us that extra context, especially in advance, because it sort of builds up this level of dread of knowing what their plan is, rather than the shock of having it just suddenly happen. You have the suspense of waiting for it to happen, which I think is interesting. Um, but overall, what just really lingers with me is how much I cared about little Charlie and her dad, and so I really liked it. So there you have it. There's a few things in it that didn't age super well. Some of Stephen King's standard bugaboos are in there. But in any case, if you're a fan of Stephen King and that's one that you've never checked out, like for me, maybe check it out. Doesn't hurt that I have a little tiny, giggly, blonde-haired niece right now that I keep seeing pictures of every day. In any case, I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.